Welcome to Nause Off episode 2. I'd argue a stellar weekend of rugby. Very keen to get nosing. What were your views?
It's good to have it back, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It was
seriously.
good to have it back. I think all the hype around the actual weekend was justified. 3 very, very good games of rugby. Where do you want to start?
Well, I think the most justified hype, and I'll eat my hat on this because obviously I predicted France being the best, but how good were Ireland? How good were Ireland?
Yeah, Ireland were good. I mean, we knew they were going to be, and like I said, I predicted them for the Grand Slam before, and I'm not going to change it. They were strong. We know what they're about. Their pack is strong. They've been together for a long time. They've got some unbelievably good players in there, and they punished a weak Wales
woeful.
team.
No, I'm not even going to go weak. They were woeful. 27 points at half time. I understand.
But is that the strength of Ireland?
I think it's both. Look, second half performance was much better from Wales, wasn't it? But you can't go into a Six Nations Championship against the favourites, and yes, okay, you're going to take the piss because I said France were favourites, but against the favourites and shell 27 points in the first half. You're not going to come back from that.
You're not going to win from there, no. But do we give Wales a bit of a leeway in terms of injuries?
No, I can't. There's injuries, yes, but you've still picked the 2012 Grand Slam squad. And George North, I've seen so many people say, yeah, George North played well. No, he was a turnstile. He was an absolute turnstile. He is the turning circle of a 16-wheeler. And when Gary Ringrose didn't cause as many problems as we were expecting, but Ireland fired shots from all over the park. And James O went in from 70 metres. Like, the Welsh backs just weren't good enough.
No. And to be fair, I don't think the Welsh forwards were either. But I do think, in part, that is how strong Ireland are. And it will be really, really interesting to see how Ireland get on, obviously against France this weekend, because that is the clash of the weekend. But moving forward, and from an English bias as well, how England get on against Ireland in Dublin as well. I mean, how that pack's going to cope against the Irish pack is...
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. But again, it'll be interesting to kind of go along through this tournament and see how different teams get along against this Irish team.
Speaking of next weekend, and speaking of Wales rather than Ireland for this one, Wales trip to Scotland. Originally, look, you don't want to wish an injury on anyone, but Alan Wynne-Jones with the concussion, the head knock, potentially gave the opportunity for a new young second row to come in. Now, obviously seeing in the news today that he's been ruled fit. If you're Warren Gatland, do you pick him as your tried and tested 140 cap, 70-year-old second row? Or do you say, look, firstly, you potentially were concussed. Yes, it's now been put as a neck injury, but potentially were concussed. Take the week off and give a young lad a chance.
I mean, I've been calling for him to be dropped for the last few years. So the fact that we're still 2 or 3 years into this process, it doesn't speak highly of the people coming through. I mean, you could also use the same argument for Toby Faletau. I think he's on his last legs. I don't think, when was the last time he had a big performance for Wales? As a Bar fan, I've seen him permanently be injured and then finally find himself fit for international weekends. But when was the last time he performed? I think that Welsh pack needs a big shake-up.
Yeah, agreed. Especially got someone like Jack Morgan, who is doing really well.
That's what I was going to say. Would you move him to 8?
I'd probably move him to 8, especially got Tommy Raffel on the bench.
Exactly.
He's
the
class.
Welsh flankers have always been strong. We know that. If you look at the history of who they've had, Navidi, Warburton, they make flankers for fun. But yeah, I just think that Welsh pack needs a little bit of work.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree with that.
And to be honest, the back line needs a bit of a shake-up as well. Again, I'm not too sure who you can bring in and change that. I know obviously last week we spoke about Tompkins. Would you bring him in? Dan Bigger, I think he's obviously...
I think the thing with Tompkins, the issue is, I think there were... I know we've been pretty scathing of Wales, but there were 2 bright sparks. I thought Hawkins played really well.
Very well.
He carried
very
really well. And Rio Dyer looked electric.
Yeah, agreed.
So, can you shoehorn Tompkins in? Would you move Hawkins to 13, drop George North? I think that's probably what I would do. Will Gatland do that? Absolutely not.
No.
He's not going to drop George North,
No
no
way.
way. And as much as I'd like to see the back row shake up, he's not going to drop Faletau, is he?
No.
So, interesting one.
Do you think he should?
Yeah, 100%. I think my personal view is, and it's tough to do it 7 months today from a World Cup, but I would personally be gutting that side. I'd be gutting that side, putting in some young lads, blooding them for 5 games ahead of a World Cup, and then if you need to go back to the tried and tested, you can take them in your squad for the World Cup, but at least you know what you're getting with the young lads.
Yeah, and again looking forward with an English point of view, that game on the 25th of February against Wales, I mean, is going to be monumental. Two teams with new managers looking to hopefully change the way teams are playing. Again, I think England have a bit more cause for optimism with their actual squad they've got. Wales, I think, personally have a lot to do. And I might be proved wrong on the 25th, but I think Wales have a lot to do.
I think that's a nice segue into it. Let's look at England and Scotland then. Yeah, I think considering the result, England have to be targeting this weekend and then the Wales weekend, because otherwise we're in real trouble.
Must wins. Creating unnecessary pressure now on themselves with that loss. I still think, to be honest, and again, maybe slightly biased, it was a game that they should have won or could have won.
They kicked it away. To quote Brian Moore, for God's sake, he's kicked it again. Look, the build-up to both the Malin's tries were really exciting. We haven't seen that in English rugby for ages, and then to spend the rest of it literally kicking the ball away, and then you kick one loose one to the big kid on the playground who makes them look absolutely horrendous. I mean, seriously, in international rugby, who breaks 5 tackles in a row and goes 60 metres? That's unheard of.
Yeah.
And let's not take away from that finish. Fair play to Van der Merwe, but
great finish. I'm not seeing enough criticism of the English defence. No. I've only been seeing people talking about the run, but come on, you've got to be making those tackles.
Yeah, you're international rugby players.
Massive gap in the centres between Farrell and Marchant, and then Dombront goes high, so high. Surely you've got to go for the chop there.
Yeah, 100%. Couldn't agree more with that. That's going to bring me nicely onto my next debate. Scotland got a lot of joy through the centres, and it's going to come back to the same thing we touched on last time when we chatted about it, is that 10-12 axis, Farrell-Smith. Both of us can agree it doesn't work. I think that's where we'll start, but we come from different camps. Who would you currently be playing at 10 for England?
I would go Farrell. Tried and tested. You know what you're going to get. You're going to get someone who takes the ball close to the line. His passing is incredible. Probably more solid in defence than Smith, although you might argue that.
I'm going to argue a liability in terms of you risk a card, but yes, he's going to make his tackles. You know that.
Exactly. And just in better form in terms of club rugby at the moment.
Bold. I've got to think back to Marcus Smith against Racing 92. Yes, Quinn's lost the game, but he was mercurial, running around, tore that defence apart, created some unbelievable tries. I think whilst you might get your tried and tested bread and butter 10 with Farrell.
This is what I was going to say, actually. It really depends on how Borthwick wants this team to go.
Well, we know
and
how he wants to
Leicester.
Play. Exactly. Wants to play Leicester, kick the ball and make your tackles, which is going to pick.
So Farrell's probably your best shout.
He is, but did we not get rid of Eddie for that one reason? I think, yes, you're going to get that with Farrell. Yes,
we got rid of Eddie for that reason, but then we also brought in Borthwick, knowing exactly the style of play, rugby-wise, that he's going to bring to the table.
Yeah, are we deluded as England fans wanting the Smith-style rugby?
I think, not necessarily deluded. I think it's what all England rugby fans want, but whether we get that and it's successful is a different thing. Yeah. I also don't think necessarily the backs outside, if we did have Smith, I don't think the backs outside of the number 10 are good enough to play that rugby at the moment, especially with the injuries.
I agree. That was the issue, I think, on Saturday, and this is where it doesn't work. Smith is excellent at 10 for Harlequins because he has a big ball-carrying centre who actually has a lovely set of soft hands, but a big ball-carrying centre in Esther Hayes outside. Yeah. On Saturday, when he was at first receiver, he almost looked lost with no big ball-carrying 12 running off him and kind of no options to take pressure off him. Yeah. And I think that's where your issue is. So whose
name do we chuck into the hat on that front? Are we chucking in Tuilagi 12-13? Or are we Ollie Lawrence?
I'm going Ollie Lawrence. I know you're an Ollie Lawrence fan, being a Bath supporter.
I think he has been in such good form for Bath this season. I know he had a really good start and it has slightly gone off the boil more recently, but I just think in terms of what we're looking for as a big ball carrying...
Well, he's got soft hands as well.
He's such a good player.
I think he was somewhat set up to fail when in his first couple of England caps under Eddie, because Eddie said, go out and be Manu. And he's not Manu.
Yeah.
He is, yes, he's a
And interestingly enough,
carrier.
I'm pretty sure his debut was against Italy. So it'll be a full circle, see how he gets on hopefully this weekend, but I don't think that change is going to come in.
No, I don't think either. I think he's going to go tried and tested and go back to Manu, isn't he? And I think My question to you is, if fit, because he's been included in the 36-man squad, who are you picking at 13? Are you going to stick with Marchant and give him another opportunity, or are you going to put Slade in?
I'm picking Slade every day of the week. Every day of the week.
So this is, I think, your issue, is I don't think he's going to make a wholesale midfield change.
Agreed.
Because he's in a corner now. He either has to back the Smith-Farrell combination and just change at 13, or he's not going to do it, but I'm on the same as you. I would personally be making wholesale changes. I would be picking... Against Italy, I would love to see him give Smith a run. He's not going to do it. I think he's going to put Farrell to 10.
But also, annoyingly, and not to belittle Italy, because I know they had this performance against France and they're not the whipping boys they used to be. But you don't want to see Smith tearing up against Italy. You want to see him do it against the games where it matters.
Yeah,
against Scotland when you've lost, against New Zealand in the autumn, against South Africa in the autumn. You've got to do it when it matters.
Yeah. We'll come back to England's selection. Let's stick with reviewing the game here. Scotland. Now, we've just spent however long saying how woeful England were. We can't take it away from Scotland. I
don't think England were that woeful, to be honest. I think it was a pretty equally matched game, which I think it was. I think Scotland were the better of the two teams, and I think they had some unbelievable performances.
They played exciting rugby.
Yeah.
They played the rugby that England want to play.
Yeah.
But
does that come from the fact that Gregor Townsend's had 4 or 5 years in the job? They kind of know what they're doing, and they've got that.
I don't know.
Finn Russell's kind of the Farrell-Smith
combo.
He's
but Tuipulotu is a
had an
12
unbelievable game.
Apart from Freddie Stewart making him look like a speed bump.
Yeah.
But he was class. But that's it. You have a 10 with a 12. Farrell, look, let's say it is. Duhan van der Merwe does not score that try if you have a tried and tested 12 who knows his alignment from that kick chase. If you have Tuolangi at 12 there, he has gone and thrown as hard of a shot as he possibly can against that, and we've made the tackle line, and maybe it's a different result.
Yeah.
But I think I think what you've now got with Scotland is what you've just said. Townsend's been in the job for a long time. He's got a settled squad, a good mix of young players coming through with some serious experience in Hogg, Russell, Jamie Ritchie. Like there is some good experience with some really young flair there. And remember, they're missing
with regard
players.
to the Calcutta Cup, it's interesting now. It's no big deal for them.
Well, that's the thing. Why are we surprised? Why are we surprised that Scotland
exactly?
won?
And to be honest, I did call England to win that game at the weekend, but it didn't surprise me that Scotland won it. I knew it was going to be a game on tight margins, and in international rugby, these games can go either way.
Yeah.
I thought England would have enough, but I'm not surprised Scotland won.
No.
And they deserved it. They played well.
Yeah, 100% they deserved it. Okay. And last game of the weekend, I was going to say surprise package from Italy, but no, we spoke about it before. Italy had been building.
They are building. It was a surprise though, just in terms of how they played. Like to fight fire with France and go toe to toe with them. I did not see that coming, especially after the try, early doors with the charge down.
Flamand's charge down.
I thought, oh, here we go. And just the way that Italy were throwing it around, I was like, this
you know
isn't
what?
how you go about beating France. But fair play to them.
The difference that I think we saw in Italy this weekend is we've always seen it that Italy they've actually been developing really nicely in attack, but there's always been weaknesses in defence. And I think for the first time this weekend, Italy looked like a really well-coached defensive side. There was good organisation. The French didn't look like they were going to cut and run from everywhere. It's making it a really exciting championship because, and this is going to be an unpopular comment, had England played either of those teams on Saturday, they'd have lost.
Yeah.
There's no way we'd have beaten either of them.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because we've seen Italy play well against France before, and then they've come to England and not done so well. And it's exactly the same with Scotland. We've seen Scotland beat England and then not back it up against Wales. So these two games this weekend are really interesting for those 2 points.
100%. And I think, do you know what? There is a silver lining to losing this game against Scotland, is that England are not going to take Italy lightly, especially with the way that Italy played against France.
Yeah.
Yes, it's at Twickenham, and last weekend was in Rome, but England will not take Italy lightly now, and they're going to need a proper performance to sort of change the public's perception of how they're going. I'm going to move it to our top 3 players because it segues nicely for me here. How good is Ange Capuzzo?
He's in my top 3.
Yeah.
He's in my top 3 from the week. The feat he showed.
To stand a defender up like that, he's literally got 5 yards of space. to go from...
It's Aldrit, isn't it?
Yeah, and
it's
an
not exactly
unbelievable back
a
row.
bad defender.
Yeah, and he's a big man
but
in
he's
5
just
metres
stood
space
him
to go from stood still to accelerate and then get that finish in.
Yeah, unreal.
Yeah, world class, absolutely
and
world class.
And it's so nice. He's Italian, he's small, he's lovable.
It's come from
And
nowhere.
you just want him to be a success, and you want Italy to be a success because of him.
I think he's arguably a fan favourite for whatever nation you
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
You're English, you're Irish, you're Scottish, doesn't matter. He's exciting to watch, and it's
Yeah.
great to see him doing well. Who else is in your top 3?
So I've gone, and I assume we probably have the number 1. And whilst we've belittled the English defence, I don't think we can look too far away from Van der Merwe.
Do you know what? I've not put him in purely out of the fact that I know everyone's going to put him in, but yeah, you can't belittle it. The guy that's a scream of a try. Do you know what? Yes, that's a scream of a try. I think arguably the more impressive is the second one. That is under pressure, late in the game. Yes, the Scottish hands to get there, and Richie Gray's really lovely soft hands to get it there is great, but he's still got a lot of work to do.
He's got a lot of work to do. Again, the English defence, and I might be wrong here, but it was Mako.
Malins flew out of the line.
Malins flew out, but Mako was just
Dan
wandering
Cole.
around.
Dan Cole had only been on for 10 minutes.
But why were those boys out there? Where was the rest of the defence?
It's a system breakdown for me, and everyone loves Sakev. He's got
a lot
raging.
of work to do.
Well, he must be raging. The guy has been lauded as that's the big signing for England, bringing a defence coach like that, and for his system to fail like that, I think they've got a fair bit of work to do this weekend.
Yeah, big time.
But yeah, no, we'll give Van der Merwe that one. I've actually gone Finn Russell rather than Van der Merwe. Do you know what I really liked? I liked the niggle from him.
Yeah.
I liked the way he ran in from that try Van der Merwe scoring, giving Farrell a bit of stick.
Did you hear why?
Oh, well, he thought it was someone else on the ground,
He thought it was someone else.
But it was Ben Curry giving him a bit of a dig. Yeah, look, I love that from Russell. I love the fact that he has that ability to rile opponents up, to go out and stick it to Farrell.
Yeah.
I think that was...
But he knows he's that good. He can pretty much walk on water. He can do what he wants.
100% he can. And he was on unbelievable form this weekend.
He was good. He was very good.
Okay, third one for you?
I went Fageson from Scotland.
Okay.
Unbelievable performance, 26 tackles, and I think he smashed in terms of metres made from both teams.
I think he might have been the top tackle stat for the weekend, actually.
I thought underrated workhorse. I thought he had a fantastic game.
My last one, I went Flamant, Thibaut Flamant, from fly half to second row, Loughborough, third
Very
or
cool
fourth.
story, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very cool story.
But that charge down, firstly, to get into the position to make a charge down, 6'8", and Varney didn't set that ruck up well.
Yeah.
But to be able to regather the way he did, that's impressive.
Yeah.
And then I also quite enjoyed the attempt at a decent dive at the end from him. Shows the flair that when he was a back that he had.
Jouet.
Yeah, Jouet. But I think he was great for me as well. In a relative, not going to take away from the Italians, but in a bit of a faltering French side, I thought he was really sharp.
Yeah, very good.
Other way round, our clown of the week. Who have you gone for?
I don't think there were many, to be fair. I think it was a really good weekend of rugby, and the standard was high. That being said, Tommaso Allen, Tommy Allen, I've got to put him there. I think they had a chance to go, well, even before the two clangers into touch, where he just went for about 1 metre and minus 1 metre in terms of metres gained. There was a kick in front of the post, literally bang on, just outside the 22. I think that would have brought them within 3 or 4 points.
Well, he had an opportunity to go ahead.
Exactly. Missed that, which I think is criminal in itself. And then those two not missed kicks into touch.
Well, they are missed kicks. They're shanks, utter shanks.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, you've got nothing to lose. So why not go for it? And I understand you don't want to kick it dead and bring it back. I'd argue...
I'd rather
you kicked it dead. I'd rather you went for it.
Especially the first one, where you've still got minutes left.
Yeah.
So what are you going to get? You're going to get the ball back on probably the halfway 10 metre line anyway.
Yeah.
You got to go for it. That opportunity is not going to present itself again.
100%. I think, he's bottled it a little bit there. Especially with Garbisi being as good as he was last year. When Garbisi's fit, he's going to be under pressure for that shirt.
Yeah.
Don't think he's done himself any favours there at all.
What about yourself? Who've you gone for?
I've given 5 clowns of the week. Look, it feels like I'm taking it away from Van der Merwe, but Joe Marchant has missed that tackle. Farrell has missed that tackle. Van Portfleet's missed that tackle. Freddie Stewart's missed that tackle. And then the worst of all,
Your mate.
Alex Dombrand. I picked him in my team. I picked him as being one of our key players for England. Look, he carried really well when he didn't drop the ball. But you're a big unit as a number 8. And I know Van der Merwe's big, but surely as a back row you're going
low.
Even if he slides over, that's not an issue. At least you've shown some heart.
I think rugby players don't care as much if you go low and they slide over, because it looks like you have made an effort. Yeah. Whereas to go high and just like
so simply palmed off, it didn't even look like he tried.
No, he didn't try.
No, it looks like those. Look, I feel for Sakev on that, because it's not a bad touch kick.
Yeah.
It's probably a bit too long. Yeah. It's not a bad touch kick.
It's fine.
But you've got to connect.
Yeah.
Like, that's so simple. And arguably, there's a number of areas that England have lost the game. That's one of them. But give it to Van der Merwe.
Yeah.
Hell of a finish.
I've got one more clown of the week.
Go on.
Which I think will bring us nicely into the next segment, which is the fantasy rugby. And you are very much a clown. Mr. Rugby, Jack Infinity. I play Nat 1 rugby, but I do not know anything about rugby itself. What happened, mate?
I was going to say I made some bold selections. I didn't make bold selections. I've had an absolute clanger. I've thought to myself, there's the classic one where you're like, I was going to put him in as soon as Van der Merwe scored 2. Or
that being said, I don't think many people did go for Van der Merwe, because I think everyone kind of knew that the England-Scotland game, like if you've put him in, fair play. He scored 2 tries.
Well, the bloke's been off for 8 weeks.
Exactly.
He's not played.
He's been on the lash in South Africa.
Yeah, getting married.
Fair. But I wish we could do that.
Well, 100%. No, I've had a clanger. Schumann didn't score as many points as expecting. Ben Curry has... everyone's vilifying him for that missed tackle on White, but he didn't play badly, but he hasn't scored me many points. I've captained Farrell. I should have stuck with my guns and not even picked Farrell.
Well, that serves you right.
Yeah, it serves me right for not sticking with my guns. That serves you right,
and I think that's a life lesson moving forward.
For being a turncoat, 100%. And my super sub has not paid off at all. They've not even put Jack Walker on. So I've had
you've had a stinker, mate. Yeah. You've had a stinker.
The fact that our CRM lead, Orla, who self-professed does not know a huge amount about rugby, has absolutely spanked me, has put me very much back in my box.
Well done, Orla's dad.
Yeah, well done, well done, Orla's dad and brother. However, having said that, you... Credit where credit's due.
I've had a good week.
Inspired putting Ramos as captain.
Insider knowledge. He's, well, to be fair, he kicks for them. And I did think France would win by a more hefty margin than they did. So I was actually expecting more points from Ramos. But can't be too...
I am going to give you stick for your putting in Anthony Watson as your super sub.
Why?
I called it. I said it. It's not going to happen. It's going to be too tight of a game. He wouldn't come in and tear it.
That's not true at all. I said the reason I'm going for Anthony Watson, and anyway, you're not in any position to give me stick because your super sub didn't even come on. I said, Anthony Watson, utility back, can come on and get the end of a try at the end of a game. That was the only reason I went for it.
I'll give Hugh Jones a great selection as well.
I mean, to be fair, look, it's a game of luck. Hugh Jones scored. Doris scored, Ryan scored.
Gilchrist got some good scores as well, and I gave you some stick for that. However,
that was a budget reason as to...
True, but I am going to... Your boy did not do well. Jamie George, 14.2 points.
No, that was bad. The reasoning behind the selection was good.
What, that you support Saracens? And...
No. The reason was the amount of times Jamie George has got on the end of a rolling maul is obscene. That was the reason. But looking at the winning team...
Yeah, we both been put in our place. I mean, I've been put in my place by everyone.
We have been put in our place, but also the Sheriff, Ken Owens, 40 points.
Yeah. I mean, sensible picking a Welsh captain, especially as in terms of budget, Ken Owens was cheap. But he has... How did we both miss Ben Earl as a super sub?
That was the one which drew...
Yeah.
I just didn't even think...
I didn't even think about it either. He was always going to get on, wasn't he?
Naturally, as backs, I think we'd always select
We've gone for the kickers of the try scorers, and he's gone for the guaranteed tackles and turnovers.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair play. Penno as captain as well.
Interestingly, though, Penno didn't get as many points as captain as Thomas Ramos.
No, and interestingly, also, I mean, he's got Ramos in there as well, but yeah, he could have cashed out even more. Do you know where I think we've all gone somewhat wrong is picking Dupont? He didn't score brilliantly.
No, but I think he will. So he's worth putting in.
I don't know. Ireland, France this week. That's my question for you this week. And fair play to our winner, Team Camchia. If he'd signed up to our email list, he'd actually won a prize, but he didn't. So that's his own fault. This week with Ireland and France, are you sticking with your guns and still loading Ireland and France? Or are you going to...
I need to have a review of the rules. I'm not sure how many transfers I can make, but I think it will be a high-scoring, close game. I'm going to pack it with England players.
I was going to say the same thing, but this week I'm definitely not going to show you my team until the games have started.
That's fine.
Yeah,
You copied from me last week.
You don't want to be copying from me anyway. I might actually go and look over Orla's shoulder and see what she's picking. But yeah, I think fantasy league-wise, it was a good weekend. Anyone wants to still sign up, there's still a chance to win prizes. Winner of the overall competition is going to get a voucher towards an Infinity Rugby package. So come and watch the World Cup with us next year, which will be really class.